President Obama announced on Wednesday that he would not be approving the controversial Keystone XL pipeline project. For more on what's next for the Keystone project, we're joined by Alex Pourbaix, President of Energy and Oil Pipelines for TransCanada. Alex, were you surprised by the timing of the President's announcement? Did TransCanada expect that the project might be rejected?
You know, a number of people have asked me that question. I think what I would say is we were very disappointed with the President's announcement. I think certainly after what we had been hearing coming from the White House and coming from the State Department in respect of the 60-day timing obligation, I don't think we were terribly surprised with the decision. We had definitely identified that that was one of the possible outcomes we were going to see with the decision.
So what will TransCanada do from here? Are you guys going to reapply? And how much more are you willing to invest in this?
We absolutely will reapply. I think one of a thing that a lot of people don't appreciate is that we are not, although we will reapply, we are reapplying for the exact same project that we originally applied for, and that project received a final environmental impact statement from the State Department this summer that stated that there were no material environmental impacts expected along the route. So although we have to reapply, we will be reapplying for the same route, and I would expect we will be able to rely in large measure on the material that was prepared on the record for that hearing. So I would not expect there should be a significant amount of new work done, and therefore shouldn't cost us significant amount of more funding to get through that process. I would hope so in any event.
Let's talk about jobs for a little bit. That's one of the key points that supporters of the pipeline have been using to sell this project to the American public. TransCanada had the estimate that the project could create up to 20,000 jobs, yet the State Department had a much lower estimate in the 5,000 range. Well, what's the discrepancy here?
Well, I can tell you when we came up with that 20,000 number for jobs, 13,000 construction jobs, 7,000 manufacturing jobs, when we came up with that number, we drew that from our 60-year experience building pipelines, and I think the most obvious place we drew it from was just over the past 3 years we built the original Keystone pipeline. That was a much smaller pipeline project than the Keystone XL pipeline, and we employed, just in construction alone, we employed 9,000 Americans, and I know that for a fact because TransCanada paid the checks for those contractors and employees. So we're very confident about those numbers that we had. I think you may have seen that about a couple of weeks ago, in response to these criticisms, we released an exhaustive press release which identified how we came up with that 13,000 number, and we literally got down to the level of numbers of environmental employees per pipeline spread. So as I said, we're very confident about those numbers. And once again, this is an example. Our opponents know that one of the most compelling arguments for Keystone is the economic stimulus that this project is going to bring to the U.S. So they take every opportunity they can to demean, malign those job numbers. What I can tell you is that when you're building a $7 billion, 1,700-mile pipeline across the entire breadth of the U.S., you're going to employ a lot of Americans, and any suggestion to the contrary just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Just to be clear, that 20,000 jobs estimate, that's over 2 years, correct? So it's actually 10,000 jobs in each of the 2 years that it would take to build the project.
Yeah, the pipeline will be built over a 2-year period, and it's going to be built in 2 distinct geographies. So we're talking about specific jobs in those geographies.